Three takeaways from Atlanta United's 4-1 win. Yes, a win over Atlas in the final match of the Leagues Cup Phase 1. Atlanta United, of course, as we already knew, not advancing to the knockout stage, but plenty of positive things to take from this match against Atlas here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Sitting in Henry with you this evening. Henry, let's get into the first takeaway. Yes, it was a meaningless match. Yes, we already know, like I said, Atlanta or Atlas, for that matter, will not be in the Leagues Cup knockout round. But like I said earlier, a lot of positive things to take from it. Meaningful in the fact that, and Kenny Miller spoke about it, assistant coach Kenny Miller, who was acting in place of Ronny Deila tonight because Ronny, of course, got a red card previous match. But he said psychologically, they're able to take their chances in a way that they haven't been really able to much of the season. So from a mindset standpoint, I think this is definitely a good match for them to maybe get their head straight moving into the final 10 matches of the season.
Yeah, it seems like it's all about momentum, this win, building that into the final 10 games of the season, which, again, mathematically, they're not out of the playoffs. It's very improbable, but technically, there's still a chance.
Yeah.
However, if you want any chance of sneaking into the playoffs this season, you need to start winning games and doing so back-to-back. And so this Saturday, you have an away game at Montreal. That, for me, is a game that absolutely you have to win. Like, if you don't win that one, it's going to be really tough for you because they are also kind of in that bottom of the East scrap with you. And so it's important to build that momentum, and this game should serve as that, I guess, catalyst for this team to really bounce forward and try to continue what they're doing. You saw a lot of really good interplay in this game. You saw a lot of really good stuff in the final third. Alexei Miranchuk finally coming in good, and we'll talk a little bit more about him later. But the team looked much more confident today. Granted, we're talking about an Atlas side that was also eliminated before coming into this game. So this game was also more or less meaningless for them.
Yeah. And
it's also Atlas, guys. It's not a Liga MX Giant. These guys finished 12th in the Clausura. So take it with a grain of salt. But the positive signs, the feels, like the good positive vibes that come from a win like that, they can have an effect. And hopefully they will, and this team can take that and build some more wins off of that.
I was going to say Atlas are no Club America, but Club America aren't doing so well in this tournament either. They could be, at the time of this recording, out of the knockout stage as well, speaking of the Mexican Giants, but that's another topic for another day. Takeaway number 2, you kind of hit on it. Just taking a look at a lot of the performances that some of the new players put out. Nick Sesek, who was signed just the other day, yesterday in fact, got an assist on his first MLS start. Not his MLS debut, but his first Atlanta United first team start. Luke Brennan continues to impress. We saw Cooper Sanchez get a run out in the latter stages of the match. Sal Mazzaferro, the same thing, little run out in the second half. And you can add more and more players to that list. Jaden Hibbert, who's not a new player, obviously, but his second start with the first team, 9 saves tonight, Henry, against Atlas. Came minutes away from a clean sheet. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get there completely. And those are just a few of the players that stood out for Atlanta United that have spent most of their time with the twos and really looking to prove themselves and give themselves a spot in the first team down in the future.
Yeah, again, going back to a little bit of the first take, it was a meaningless game in the sense of there was no qualifying after this game, regardless of the result. However, it's very meaningful in you build the momentum and you give kind of an audition to some of these players that don't typically get a lot of first-team minutes. Nick Sesek, like you said, just signed the other day. He had an amazing game, in my opinion. Really, really good down that right side on both sides of the ball. Defensively, I thought he was very, very committed, helped really limit Atlas's chances down that side. But also, his crosses are phenomenal, and I didn't expect that. And you saw that he had a couple good services and grabbed the assist on Cayman Togashi's goal, who's another one that also doesn't really get a lot of first-team minutes. Yeah. But today, he came up huge with a goal and a beautiful header, by the way, really well-placed header into the corner where, rarely you're ever going to find a keeper that gets that.
Yeah.
So it's really encouraging to see that. Of course, we saw Leo Alfonso's debut; he looked all right. We saw obviously Cooper Sanchez, as you said, Sal Mazzaferro, which all showed kind of some flashes of positivity. Yeah, it's great to see these guys stepping up, and Jaden Hibbert in a big way. 9 saves.
Yeah.
I was impressed when I saw the shot breakdown. Atlas had around the end of the game, they had I saw 18 shots with 10 on target. Jaden Hibbert made 9 saves in that game, and so it starts that conversation of, okay, this guy might actually be the successor to Brad Guzan once Brad Guzan retires, whether it's at the end of this season or at some other point. He looks strong, and you know that you can rely on him more or less. It's a small sample size. Again, this is only his second game, but the signs are very positive, both in the shot stopping and his ability on the ball. He did have a play there where he kind of gave it away, but makes up for it with the save. Still obviously ironing that out. He is 21 years old after all, so we're still
Should be in college.
He has some development. Yeah, exactly. He has some development yet that he has to do some polishing of his game, but I think in the long run he could be an important player for this team, as can several of these guys that we mentioned today. So yes, a very, very important game for them as far as making arguments for the first team, and Kenny Miller said that as well. Like they're really giving the manager food for thought here. And so they need to continue doing that. And hopefully Ronny Deila continues to give these guys opportunities to show what they can do, and that they can be important members of the first team.
Takeaway number 3. We're talking about in the press box, kind of a quandary for Ronny Deila when it comes to selection. Alexei Miranchuk has been in a terrific form. 4 goals in his last 6 matches across all competitions. Combined very well with Luke Brennan tonight, about as well as I've seen him combine with Luke over this past few weeks that Luke has really been in the lineup. Luke, on his own, has really taken his opportunities well throughout these past string of matches. Saba had a terrific goal off a free kick that we haven't mentioned earlier, so he was involved in the scoring as well. Finally got a goal. Of course, hopefully that kickstarts his season the rest of the way. So those 3 players, I didn't mention Miguel Moreau, who was benched this evening. Well, didn't play as he prepares for Saturday against Montreal. It's a good problem to have if you're Ronny Deila, but now you have to decide, hey, do you kind of ride the hot hand, or do you bench Miguel Moreau? This is tough because it's a DP, means so much to your club, it's past and it's present. I mean, what do you do in that spot?
Yeah, it's a very hard question. And I mean, I don't think you ever want to start benching players who are in the run that these 3 players have had. Miranchuk, Saba, Luke Brennan, they've all been impactful. They've all had goal contributions in the past few games. It's a difficult question to answer. And then you add Miguel Almiron, who, like you said, is a DP, the highest paid player on the team, a guy who means so much to this team's history, and also is the team captain now. And so those are things that you kind of weigh. I think you do play Miguel Almiron. I think he gives you quite a bit in the final third. And I think the connection that he's building with Ronald Hernandez on that side and Alexei Miranchuk, it makes the team more dangerous. And so in that case, the guy that I would bench is Saba, because he is better on the right side. And if you have Miguel Almiron there, and you can't play him obviously there, and on the left side, I think I prefer Luke Brennan anyways. He and Alexei look to be combining very, very well. Luke, I think, has that eye for some of those incisive passes like you just saw tonight, the ball that he played for Alexei, seeing him doing that overlap and then playing him in for that kind of easy chip shot into the goal. That was a really good play from him. And then also the balls that he has played in other games against Seattle, the ball he plays to Latte Lot for that own goal, against other team that I'm blanking on, Necaxa, where he plays the ball to Mayumba and it leads to goal number 1. That's, that has value.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Luke Brennan's first goal contribution, unfortunately, because the rest kind of didn't count, and you haven't really seen that in the stat line. But he definitely, I think, deserves more time, and he's still developing. He's still a guy that has a high potential for me, And so you want to give him as many minutes as you can, give him as many opportunities. And he's well past due of a goal, I think. He's had several opportunities, and he just needs to be a little bit more clinical, and I think a little bit more decisive at times when he gets into the final third. I think he gets into his head a little bit too much and tries to take on a little bit too many duels. We saw that in one opportunity where he gets played in, and he has one guy in front of him and tries to beat him, and he tries to beat the next guy, and then he ends up on the other end of the box and doesn't have a shot. Exactly. So it's a little bit of maturing and a little bit of more, experience and decisiveness, but he's going to get there, I believe. And so for me, those are the three that you would have ideally against Montreal. But man, it is a tough decision because now Saba's so good at free kicks. How do you bench that? Right. I mean, did you see that? It went into the top corner.
Yeah,
that is beautiful, perfect. Beautiful. And we've heard that Saba is the best free kick taker on the team. Well, if you have him on the bench, then you don't have him available for as many set pieces. So again, a very, very tough decision, but I guess a good problem for this team to have.
And none of us are getting paid to make that decision for Ronny Deila. Fortunately. Go to scarsandspikes.com, read our coverage there. My first reaction, Henry has this recap, and it'll get you ready, of course, for Montreal. I think you have your risers and fallers coming up. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Risers and fallers. Yes, I was right. You have yours coming out here in the next few days. Of course, our preview for CF Montreal coming up on Saturday. We'll have our match review podcast, I think, match preview podcast for Montreal on Thursday live on YouTube, and then on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. Subscribe there as well. Get our content in audio form. Leave a review for us. Again, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. Leave a like, subscribe. Leave a comment about what you thought about the match down below here on YouTube. I'm at SH Wright on X and Blue Sky, Soccer on Instagram and Threads. Where are you on social media?
At HA Higuita everywhere. X, Blue Sky, Instagram.
Scars and Spikes is on Scars, the letter and Spikes on X, scarsandspikes.com on Blue Sky, Scars and Spikes everywhere else. And of course, patreon.com/Scars and Spikes. Subscribe starting at $1.17 a month. Get access to our Discord. Get access to exclusive audio and video content you won't find anywhere else. Sydney and Henry signing off, and we'll see you next time.